talked about since Anson began. That midpoint interchange would be roughly at about County Road 550 South. NDOT is incredibly interested in building that and building it now, if you will. Now, when I say now, that's likely a 3-year process. We'll know a little more after we meet with them again for the 3rd time on just how interested they are. This particular interchange also would bring, or is, a byproduct of a major retail development. And now Beth is going to have to ask me about it, and I'm going to have to tell her that I don't know much about it.
He knows nothing.
So you're talking a $12 million brand new interchange at exit 131 and a half. So directly in between 130 and 133. Game changer for the town. The project that it's associated with is a game changer for the entire northwest Indianapolis region, and changes Whitestown as well. So when you ask me what do I think about NDOT and their timetables, I think that the more pressure you put on NDOT and help them to understand that you have economic development projects. A good example is Exit 133, which was not on the 10-year plan and is now being designed by engineers to be built in 2019. Okay? So not on the 10-year plan 12 months ago. Now being engineered to be rebuilt in 2019. All right? So with a cloverleaf and much better egress and ingress out of Anson, it would essentially solve the Amazon problems. What NDOT has talked about as well is if we scaled that back a little bit and added the midpoint, you'd take pressure off of 133, you'd take pressure off of 130, and you'd put some of that pressure onto the midpoint interchange. Additional ways in and out of town. So you asked me that question, and I can tell you that so long as we do our jobs of staying on top of them and telling our story, things could change tomorrow. So if I guess what I'm saying is that the pedestrian bridge is an excellent idea to get people from the west to the east and into the shopping areas of Anson. If you all tonight decide that we need to put a brake on that, then what we'll do is we'll go lobby NDOT as hard as we possibly can and tell them our story of why we need these interchange bridges redone and a new one built. And at the same time, would you please add adequate, good pedestrian access, similar to the bridge over 146th Street in Carmel across US 31, or what they're doing to the exit 210 bridge now at Hamilton Town Center. But make sure that they add that into the process if we're not going to do this. But United's done a good job of working with Nathan to show this. It's a great idea, but if you all want to take a step back a little bit, we can take a different direction and go put our efforts in. Instead of trying to get MPO money, which sometimes is a crapshoot, we can go do a different crapshoot, which is lobbying NDOT.
It sounds like there may be a good chance with this Midway interchange to have this be part of that.
Correct.
Now you're going to go another 1.5 miles north to go across the interstate if you're a pedestrian. That's assuming that exit 130 bridge does not get its redo as well. Its redo won't be as dramatic and it's not ever going to be as dramatic because there's not enough footprint there. It's not going to be Allisonville, it's not going to be Greenwood's new diversion diamond. It may be widened, but it's not going to be a huge bridge. So we got to make sure that if we don't go for this, that we work with all of our engineering partners to make sure that what they understand is that our priority is to get pedestrians safely across the interstate at all of these interchange bridges that we're going to redo, because there's a side path that goes all the way down Albert S. White and ends at County Road 400 right now. So when they redo that interchange, we've told them and asked them, you've got to make sure that pedestrian side path continues up over the bridge and over to Indianapolis Road. And then we want to build a trail. Jason and I have talked about building another side path up Indianapolis Road next year as the extension of the one that we just built from the south to the north and continue north all the way up to 267.
So,
I tend to
Sounds
agree
like-
with your
With,
statement
you know, with
earlier.
the future development of Whitestown Crossing, that there will be retail in other places there too. So it would make sense to be able to get all the way up Indianapolis Road safely as well.
so I just want to recap, if I may. It doesn't sound like you guys are not interested in it. You're definitely interested in the overpass, one way or the other, just probably not a dedicated overpass. Trying to combine it with some of the things that are
Correct.
happening in
Right,
School
we're
Drive.
interested in utilizing the enhancements that are going to be coming to get it versus having standalone expenses off of TIFs that may or may not be. And to make sure that we leverage it for each of our bridges, not just one. And, I mean, this, if we're gonna spend 2 million, let's spend it wisely.
I mean, this is a great,
It's a great-
what's happened here, what Nathan's done is fantastic, and working with the engineers, he just brought up a good point. I won't steal his idea, I'll give him his credit, that maybe if you decide right now, if it's part of our lobbying effort, we take this to NDOT and say, okay, you know, we've got funds we were willing to put into here. If you will accelerate the reconstruction of exit 130, we'll move those funds, those potential TIF funds, from this project over here, so long as this project is really a part of the reconstruction of exit 130. So if you'll move it up, we'll put funds in, because NDOT likes to hear that. They like to hear the local community doing what they can to put funds into a project now. It's not just NDOT building these bridges anymore. It's Fishers is helping with the exit 10 with the 106th Street Bridge. And what NDOT basically has told us is they don't want a Fishers redo. And what Fishers redo is they're putting all the infrastructure in way after the fact. So that's a complete and total reaction in Fishers. What they've told us is in our conversations is we understand you are growing. This is the next growth area for the Indianapolis Metro, and we want to be ahead of the game and proactive as opposed to trying to be reactive and put these interchange bridges in when all this traffic is happening already. So I think we have a very good shot of working with our partners in NDOT, but we have to be a willing partner. So we have to look at ways to help NDOT finance these projects. Some of that is with our growth and with AV that comes in from economic development related projects. So this can be used if we choose not to look at the grant here, this can be used. I received a great call from Congressman Makita's office today. I'm very close with that office. And he asked if we would like to sit down with his transportation folks and discuss all of our transportation issues. We have friends, okay? We're well respected. We do things well. We do it right. We respect NDOT. We respect our partners. We've been told that, and we'll continue to work as hard as the staff to get these projects going in our favor.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to the town administration report.
Thank you, Nathan.
The major infrastructure project was the resurfacing of the roads. He's doing a good job. You probably told him, this is a short agenda, be out of here by 8. Oops. The major infrastructure projects are being completed now. There's punch lists that will probably likely take us into the spring. We're very happy with the Indianapolis Road Trail. It worked out very well, very nice looking piece of infrastructure. In the spring, signal heads will be put in at County Road 750, so you press a button, lights will light up, people will know that you're walking across that particular county road as you head north or south on the Indianapolis Road Trail. There's also some ADA ramps that need to be finished and some things that need to be done by the contractor. Punch lists are always involved in a project like this. There's always something that's put down that peels up, or a piece of asphalt that wasn't done correctly. So a list of about 12 or 13 items has been presented to the contractor by the engineer and by Jason. Those things will get worked out and will be completed. Right now we have substantial completion, so we're very happy with what's been done, and it will ensure the integrity of our roadways for years to come. So, and they were all done right at budget, and so we're very happy about that. I think there was a couple of change orders that came in. One was for the Indy Road Trail and some gravel that needed to be put in because we had to raise it a little bit because it's pretty wet there, pretty low. Then we did the change order for the county road for the Ottinger Drive, which the redevelopment commission funded the resurfacing of Ottinger Drive and the side path that was built just to the south of Lowe's. So those projects are nearing completion. What else? The Perry Industrial Refund Bond. So you all have approved that. It's been through confirmatory process and public hearings. We're now going to the market or the purchasing of the bonds and getting the funding and closing. Shortly after the election, which was, if you remember, there was an election a week ago, yesterday, and it got a little crazy afterwards, the markets did. And shortly after the election, interest rates were running at about, for bonds, the yield was, our interest rate was going to be around 2.06, 2.05. 1, 2, 3, 4 days later after the election, our interest rate's sitting at about 3.4. Okay? So anybody in the public that's interested in what I'm hearing, what I'm saying is rates are increasing. People are putting their money in different areas. And so the Fed's going to raise the rate. So the cost to borrow money to do projects is going to go up. And our advisors told us this isn't just a blip on the radar. This is real and will likely last for quite some time. So we were going to take the bond to the market. We had the S&P rating of the AA minus. What we decided to do was take it to banks. So 2 banks have stepped up, Capital One and First Merchants. And they will be the ones that will be purchasing said bonds. And our rate ended up being total somewhere around, I think, 2.89, 2.99%. One was in the 3s, another bond was in the low 2s. That averages out to be about 2.99. We still will have adequate coverage. Our coverage will be about 106%. And we will still get a net proceed of around $6 million to build the new fire station and fire department headquarters. So everything is well. And the TIF is performing incredibly well as well. Lastly, economic development. If you drive by any of our industrial parks, you'll see buildings are going up. Lauren is incredibly busy in her office. We continue to see new petitions every day. That's AV. Our AV is rapidly increasing. I think it went from 429 to 480. So last year it was 349 to 429. This year I believe I heard from 429 to 480 something. We're just rapidly increasing in AV. Hence the reason why we got the automatic levy, automatic growth in our levy. I believe from an update that's, unless you have questions for me on the town admin side, I'm having all the, Lauren has done this already and so has the building department, putting together SOPs for each department. You all will be sent those, basically job descriptions and SOPs for each department. You'll be sent those. We're getting a little, it's an enhanced organizational effort here. We're also going to use the Mitch Daniels way next year for metrics, some different metrics. Sometimes it's hard to measure what some of us do. Sometimes it's easy to measure what some of us do. But I'm going to call it the Mitch Daniels way, and we're going to do things a little bit different in 2017. I'll give you that plan when we meet in our workshop, which we do annually. And this year, if you remember our workshop, we set some goals of create a veterans committee and create a bike ped advisory board and create a youth council and create a neighborhood council. Guess what we did? We did all those things. If you look back to your workshop, we darn near accomplished every goal that we set out to accomplish including the number one infrastructure project, which was the stormwater project in the Legacy Corps. We'll know about our grant on December 1st. We don't know about the stormwater grant yet, but the money is in the bank from the bond, from the GO bond. It's part of the budget. That project's going to happen whether we have that 500,000 or whether we don't. So things are moving along very well. Good organizational efforts here at the municipal building. We've had good meetings with HOAs. They're seeing our responsiveness. That's one of our goals, is to be the most responsive community. Sometimes people like what we're saying, and sometimes people don't like what we're saying, which is also a part of the Mitch Daniels way. And so that's another part of what we're instituting. Does anybody have any questions of me?
No, you're doing a good job. Keep it up.
We try our best. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dax.
Any other business? All right.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Nobody wants.
Second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Meeting's adjourned at 8:34.